Hi, welcome back everyone. In this video, we continue our discussion, and in this video, we will talk about scenario analysis. Until this point of time, we have calculated the valuation of the company. We have also done the sensitivity analysis by using the two factor, which is WACC and terminal growth rate. So first and foremost, let's rename this file or let's resave this file. The file name will be 27.finmod Britannia scenario analysis. We come to this extra sheet and we press move or copy. I select this create a copy and I need to have the scenario sheet between input and calculation and BS sheet. I select this BS, I make sure this is create a copy is checked and I press OK. And here we have extra sheet, a replica of that. We rename this as scenarios and I press enter. I zoom out this sheet. I keep it somewhere around 130. I come to cell number P6 and I hard code base case, upside and downside. I select these three cells and change the cell style to input. Then I come to cell number G5 and I give a link to all these three headers, which is base case, upside, and the downside. And I press enter. So this is coming from all these three cells. The next step would be selecting these three cells and changing the cell style to heading 4. Now I come to this developer. I select this insert. I select list box form control. I select this area. I right click this. I select format control. I come to input range. Here we are going to give the base case upside downside, but we need to make sure these cell selection should stick to this sheet. So I'm just selecting this input and calculation. Then I come to scenarios and then I select P6 to P8. And here we have scenarios popping up, which is basically the name of the sheet. Then for cell link, we will be referring to E5. We'll make sure that scenarios also comes up before that. So once again, input and calculation and scenarios, we have the scenarios in front of us, and then we select E5. I press OK. And here we have all the three cases, which is base case, upside, downside. So base case is 1, upside is 2, downside is 3. And this is 1, 2, and 3. Now this list box, we are going to copy it and we are going to paste the same list box in all other sheets. We come to input and calculation, cell number B2, I paste it. Then I come to balance sheet, in cell number B2, I paste it. Income statement, I once again paste it. CFS, B2, DCF, cell number B2, and in extra sheet as well. Now, one good thing about this list box is, or basically all the form control is, if I make any changes in any of the list box referring to any of the sheet, this change is going to get replicated all the list box across all these sheets. So coming back to the scenarios, and this is how we are going to use this list box by changing the base case, upside and downside. The second thing is that these cases are going to impact the value of our company, the valuation calculated of our company. So let's come to this DCF. We select this array, which is cell number B43 to cell number E53. I copy this segment. I come to scenarios and I come to cell number K9 and I press right click. I select go to this paste special, and within this other paste options, we have link picture. So this is what we have as link picture. I come to this view segment and I press this grid line. And this is how it is going to get presented for us. Now, we are going to look at the scenarios or the line items which are going to impact the value of the company. right? We are going to look at all those scenarios. The first scenario which we are going to look out is going to be for revenue. I hard code revenue in cell number B6 and change the cell style to heading 4. We come to input and calculation. We come within this input timeline and I look at these two cells within revenue, which is India and others. I copy these two cells, which is C33 and C34. I come to scenarios in cell number C7, pay special as link. I come back to input and calculation. First of all, I get the two growth rates for India and others respectively for the financial year 31st March 31, and I come to scenarios and I keep these two growth rates for the respective line items under the base case scenario. So I pay special as values and number formats. So which is going to be 5%, 6%. I select this array, which is basically the table, which is G7 to I8. I change the cell style to input and make sure everything is in percentage. And now I give some scenario numbers against revenue coming from India. So for upside, let's get it 6%. For downside, let's take it 4%. Others, upside, let's take it 7%. And downside, let's take it 5%. Now, the moment I change this, which is base, upside, downside, I need to get the data which represents the right cells for the revenue. So basically, we are going to use an index function and I select the array which is G7 to I7. I don't freeze it. I press comma and once again a comma. I need to give the column number and then I select E5 and I freeze it, which is basically lock them. And I close the bracket and press enter. I change the cell style to percentage new, and the moment I make the changes, which is from base case to upside, you can see in cell number E7, it gives me the right reference cell, right? So base case, it should be 5%. For upside, it should be 6%. It is giving me 6%. For downside, it should be 4%. Then this is giving me 4%. So I copy this formula and paste it against others international, which is in cell number E8. And here we have the scenarios growth rate for the revenues. So base case, upside and downside. Now this two cells will be copied and I come to input and calculation in cell number P33 and P34 and I paste special as link, which is P33 and P34. I select these two cells. Now, these two are actually coming from the scenario sheet, right? So, these two now cannot be in input cell style. It needs to be normal. So, I select normal and make sure these two are in percentage. So, this becomes in percentage. So, the user will not make any changes for the growth rate under the revenue coming from India for March 31 in cell number P31. They will have to make changes under the scenario sheet. Now, this is how it is going to get impacted. Now, this was the base case, which was referring to 5% and 6%. And if you look that if I change the base case to upside, you will find the value, equity value also changing, which is again, I'm changing this to downside. This is also changing to equity value. Let me show you how this is working. So if I go to input and calculation, if I change, let me get this back to base case. Now this base case is actually linked to what? This is linked to the revenue calculated. So let's refer to this cell, which is this one. So base case, upside, this is downside. So this is changing, right? And this change is going to impact the income statement, which is the revenue for row number 6 in income statement. This will also impact the EBITDA in row number 10. So base case, refer to the EBITDA, upside, refer to the EBITDA, and downside. It is changing. And this change will also impact what? The FCFF calculated. So if we look at the FCFF calculated, and if we change the cases, you will find the FCFF calculated for the forecast years will also change. Of course, if the FCFF changes, the value will also change. Basically, the equity value will also change. And this is what is getting represented in this linked image. So getting this back to the base case, and this marks the completion of the revenue scenario. But we will continue the scenarios for COGS as well. So I hard code COGS in cell number B10, change the cell style to heading 4. I go to input and calculation. I go under input timelines and I refer to COGS. We will refer to these two cells, which is C39 and C40. I come to scenarios. In cell number C11, I pay special as link. Once again, I go back. In cell number P39, P40, I copy, come to scenarios. For base case, I paste it as values, which is this one. And I press OK. I select this segment and change the cell style to input and to percentage new. And now I need to give the upside cost of material consumed and downside scenarios. So for upside, let's keep it 44%. And for downside, let's keep it at 48%. Purchase of stock in trade, let's take it at 2% for upside and 4% for downside. Now we copy this index formula and paste it in cell number E11. And once again, we also do the same thing for E12 as well. And here we have these two cells getting changed when I change the cell selections in the list box. Now, no doubt, this tool also needs to get linked in our input and calculation sheet as well. So I copy it, I come to input and calculation sheet in cell number P39. I paste special as link and I press OK. Now we can see that these two are coming from the scenario sheet. I select these two cells, I change the cell style to normal and make sure that these two are in percentage. Now, the cost of material consumed is also linked. Coming back over here, let's look at the impact. If I change this to upside, you can see the drastic impact in the equity value per share. Now, let's create the scenarios for operating expenses. I change the cell style to heading 4. We come to input and calculation. We copy these two cells, which is C45 and C46. We come to scenario, cell number C15. We pay special as link for employee benefit expenses and other expenses. I need to get the base case data, which is in cell number P45 and P46 of input and calculation. I come to scenarios in cell number G15. I pay special as values and number format. Press OK. I select this array and I change the cell style to input and again also make sure that everything is in percentage. For employee benefit expenses, it is 3.75%. For upside, let's keep it 3.25%. For downside, let's keep it at 4.25%. For other expenses, this is 11%, which is base case. For upside, let's take it 10%. And for downside, let's take it 12%. Now let's get the index formula. So I copy E12 and paste it E15 and also paste the same thing in E16 as well. Now these two cells is linked with the base upside and downside cases. Now I need to make sure this gets integrated in the valuation calculation. So I copy these two cells, which is E15 and 16 from scenarios and come to input and calculation in cell number P45. I pay special as link. Now, once again, these are coming from scenario sheet. I change the cell style of these two cells to normal and make sure that these two are in percentage. Now, this is these two cells, which is basically the scenarios for operating expenses, has also been linked. So the moment I select this upside, you can see the changes in equity value per share. Now, let's also create a scenario for the working capital cycle as well. So I select this three cells, which is receivable days, inventory days, and payables. I copy these three. I come to scenarios and come to cell number C19 and pay special as link. Receivable days, inventory days, and payables. In cell number B18, I hard code working capital cycle, or let's keep it working capital. Change the cell style to heading 4. Now I come to input and calculation in cell number P58 to P60. All the three cells come to scenarios in cell number G19. I pay special as values and number formats. So basically the base case scenarios. I select the array, which is for upside and downside as well for all the three cases, change it to and make sure the format are in days. So here we have, which is 6.5 for receivable days. And for upside, let's keep this. This is going to be improvement. So let's keep it at somewhere 5 days. And let's keep this downside as 8 days. For inventory days, which is 35, let's take this as 30. And the upside, let's take it at 40. For payable days, let's keep this at 65. And downside, let's keep this as 55. Now we come to this cell, which is cell number E19. Now we need to have the index formula. We can copy the formula from this cell, which is E16. I copy it and I paste it. Now, since this is in percentage, the format needs to be changed to days. So I press go to cell style and change the format to days. I select this formula to all the remaining three cells within the E column. Linked. Now you can see if I make changes, these three cells are also changing. The data are also changing. Now I select these three cells, I copy it, I come to input and calculation in cell number P58, I pay special as link. I change the cell style to normal and make sure that everything is in days. Now this marks the completion of working capital scenarios. The last scenario which we are going to create is going to be for valuation inputs. We come to valuation inputs. So let's take risk-free rate, credit risk premium, historical beta, and equity risk premium. It's up to your choice. If you want to also include terminal growth rate, you can also do that. So I come to scenario in cell number C24, I pay special as link. In cell number B23, I hard code valuation inputs. I change the cell style to heading 4. Now, let's get the actual base case data for all the 4 valuation inputs. I come to scenarios in cell number G24. I pay special as values and number formats. I press OK. I select this array and change the cell style to input. I make sure these two are in percentage and equity risk premium is also in percentage. Now, for risk-free rate, we have this as 6.87. So let's keep this as 6.37%. So I'm just reducing the 50 basis point from the base case scenario. And let's also increase the 50 basis point from the base case scenario. So this is going to be 7.37, 0.37 percentage. For credit risk premium, let's take it as 0.48%, 20 basis point reduction and 20 basis point increase. So 0.88%. For historical beta, this is 0.357. So let's keep it 0.3 and let's keep it 0.4. For equity risk premium, we have this as 5.51. So let's keep this as 5% and let's keep this as 6%. Now let's get the index formula from cell number E16. I paste it in E24, E25, and I also paste this in the remaining two cells. I change the cell style for cell number E26 because this is beta, so I keep this as normal. And here we have all these cells linked with the list box. So the moment we change this base upside and downside, these cells are also changing. So we select these cells. Now we need to integrate this in the valuation calculation. So I copy this 4 cells I come to input and calculation, and within that valuation input header, and in cell number E20, I paste special as link. Now these all cells has been linked. I change the format to normal. I make sure that risk-free rate, credit risk premium, and equity risk premium are in percentage. Now this is integrated with our all the three cases formulas. Now let's go back to once again to the scenarios sheet, and here we have the base case. Look at the value per share. The upside 8,123.7, and I hope that you understand that all these broader factors are getting integrated, which is upside scenario, downside, and this is the downside scenarios. I hope you are clear with the scenario analysis, and I hope this is going to help you to integrate different scenarios in your valuation model. If you have any questions, drop that in comment box. Thank you for watching the video.